I'm Tom Briggs, and I'm from Denver, Colorado. I was diagnosed 26 years ago with a disease of the lungs, the tumors in my lungs, pulmonary capillary hemangiomatosis. And at that time, there was no treatment for it. They had only seen it in autopsies. And at that point, my doctor, Dr. Carl White in Denver, was attending a conference. And at that conference, he got to meet Judah Folkman, who said, "We're looking for a guinea pig to try an anti-angiogenic treatment. And would your patient in Denver be willing to do so?" And I said, "My options are nil. The options are die or live," and my parents and I decided to go forward with interferon. I believe it was interferon alpha 2A, I think was the exact medication. And for 8 years, I treated myself with that medication at age 20. My freshman year of college at University of Colorado Boulder, they took me off the medication, and I guess you could say it was cured at that point. So for 8 years, treated with pretty, in this case, at that point, a very untreatable disease was cured by a drug that was created by Dr. Judah Folkman, a man who I obviously consider a hero. Scared, but at the same time, you're 12 years old, so you think you're invincible, and you're like, I'm not going to die. Whatever you're going to give me is going to cure me. That's what I thought at the time, but still, you go home that day in the car ride with your mom, and after someone just tells you you're going to die, it was I can remember that ride home. I can remember and still remember the room I sat in when they told me that, and it terrifies you. But they did it in a way that made it sound optimistic, and they said, "We think we have an idea that might work, and we hope you would be willing to try it." The one thing I did, I never really changed my outside life. I kept my same friends and continued to play I was very athletic. And that was the one thing I was scared of. I'm going to give up sports, because sports is what kept me going at the time. Other kids have other, desires. Mine was athletics. I had to be careful. Obviously, I was bleeding extensively through the lungs, and I was tired quite a bit. So I did have to take rests. And I remember telling my coaches that there's going to be days when I can't do it. I'm going to have to sit down, because that drug was pretty hard on the body. 8 years. 8 years? It was initially every day. And then I believe they started to see positive signs within the first year of treatment. I do remember I would do cardiac catheterizations about every 9 months to a year. Actually, about every 9 months they would do a cardiac cath. And the first results would still pooling of blood in the masked areas where the tumors were. And then by month 9, month 10, they started to see a small sign of success with CAT scans and MRIs that they were doing. And then progressively, each 6 months, they started to see better treatment. But again, they didn't know how long or how much I should be treated with. So that was the question, because they had never used it before successfully. So it was my freshman year of college. They came to me and said, "Well, what do you want to do next? We think we've put this to rest. Although we're going to learn what do we need to do to wean you off it." They actually started weaning me, I believe, in my senior year of high school. And so I believe it was about a 1 year to 18-month time period where they gradually weaned me off from daily. I think right around my 20th birthday, which was almost, that'd be almost 18 years ago today, that they said, "We're going to pull you off completely. And are you ready to do that?" And obviously, sticking a needle in your own leg for that long, you're definitely ready. That's a tough question. I think sometimes academia and the medical community sometimes collide. And I remember Dr. Folkman, I'm hearing the stories of him that when he was originally talking about anti-angiogenesis and treatments for that, the people thought he was a charlatan, that he was just outside-the-box thinker, didn't know what he was talking about. But it was those doctors like Dr. Carl White in Denver, my doctor, who said, he's got something here, and actually took that chance. So I think the hard part is getting academia and the medical community to agree, because I'm not a doctor, but I have seen that those two can collide. So it's getting them to open up and have communication like today, where you have roomfuls of, very smart people that sometimes don't agree with this. So I think it's getting them to talk together and be willing to take chances and find patients too. I think, like myself, obviously my parents too, that are willing to take those chances on either themselves or their children. I think one of the things I've learned about is is changing your diet, changing your habits, changing your belief system. I mean, I can't tell everyone to be an optimist, but when you're 12 years old and you're told you're going to die, you have nothing else to but be optimistic. And as we know, pessimism can kill. Well, my family and I today, changing our diet, obviously, we're religious drinkers of green tea, which that actually came from learning from Dr. Lee. So the studies have shown that there are anti-angiogenic properties in green teas and the berries. So our family has, changed our diets and added more of that to it. I think taking care of yourself physically. Everybody should exercise. Well, I like to believe it's tremendous. I mean, I've from knowing Dr. Lee for the past almost 10 years now, actually over 10 years, I've come to, well, obviously me changing my own self, but promoting this. I know my wife and I and my family, I generally push the concept of getting people to understand what first angiogenesis is, what anti-angiogenic treatments are, trying to steer people to the website. And if for people that I know that have cancer, I always try to call Dr. Lee or one of the folks with the foundation to say, what are some outside of the box ideas that are working? And getting that communication started. So I think promoting it is huge. I think it can be promoted more. I know Dr. Oz, I guess. I have not seen that Dr. Oz episode, but I know he's now a promoter, a believer in these types of treatments. So I think that more exposure to what the foundation does through people like me, through doctors, through other biotechnology companies like Genentech and Amgen, etc., can continue to drive this forward.